How's everybody doing? We've got a really great panel today. I've got two amazing experts here. We've got Sukhmani Mohta, who was just introduced, but CMO of home entertainment at Samsung Americas. We also have Joy Farber Kolo, who's a Chief Impact Officer at Weber Shandwick Collective. And what we want to talk about today is, oftentimes when we think about fandom, we think about how do we reach fandom, and thus how do we extract value from fans. But what we want to talk about, especially with the backdrop of CES and technology and innovation being at the forefront, how do we utilize technology to actually fuel fandom? Right? How do we be a part of the conversation? How do we add to the community? And the two I have here are absolute experts on that. And so without further ado, I'd love to get into it. And Joy, question to you. What does breaking through to fuel fandom actually mean to you?
From my perspective, and again, it will probably be no surprise since I come from Weber, so we're Earn First Communications Agency. And our perspective is if you want to win in culture, you have to earn your place. How do you earn? How do you earn at a moment when it's crowded, when media is more expensive, when it's harder to break through, when there's fragmentation? And our perspective is if you want to earn value, you have to contribute value. You have to then understand what the communities care most about and do something that matters to them. And I think that's what we're going to talk about today, of the work we've done together with Samsung.
That's awesome. And what question to you? So how do brands, in this case, how do they move beyond simply, placing ads or sponsorships next to sports or next to these fan communities, instead maybe contribute something a bit more meaningful and thoughtful, like Joy mentioned?
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Just to give you some background, home entertainment at Samsung includes 4 different categories. So we have our TVs, we have memory, we have audio, and we have monitors. So a big part, one of the things you were talking about is fandom. Let me talk actually about monitors before I go into our TVs. Is about gaming. Fandom like gaming, passion point like gaming. I'm not a gamer, so it was absolutely incredible to see that. And Samsung went from being a boring electronics brand to being #1 in gaming monitors. And some of that was, and a lot of that was, really fueling the passion of gaming and contributing to that community. So Joy, to your point, it's not about how do you sell to these communities, it's how do you celebrate these communities. So gaming is one example that we've done. From a home entertainment TV perspective, if you think about TVs and our consumers, and I'll talk a little bit about fandom in a moment, connect that, the #1 reason why people are buying TVs in the US is to have a better sports viewing experience. And when you think about that and the fandom associated with sports, we looked at a number of different options. And of course, Weber is a huge partner for us. And we evaluated a number of different options that we had. And college football is where we landed. So when you think of fandom, that's where, college football has the emotion, historical, the rituals, all of that as part of it. Any college football fans here? Maybe a few, yeah? And before I get into more about how we tapped into the college football fandom, I'll show you a video, especially with college football, right? There's so much attachment and association and fandom with specific teams. And rather than going with the sports overall, we wanted to celebrate an iconic moment. And the iconic moment was someone, Lee Corso, who's associated with the game for over 30 years and came to a point where he was retiring. So how did we celebrate that? And we'll talk a little bit about it. And Joy, I'll ask you to participate in it after the video. So can we have a quick look?
Hey everybody, by now you guys know that Lee Corso is hanging up the mic. That's right, he's retiring, but Samsung and I, we want to do something very special for him. Because of your suggestions, we're going to have a legendary setup for our guy to watch the games, okay? Let's get in here and get busy. Let's go.
Why I got this helmet on?
Ready for this? Surprise!
Whoa! How'd you get it in here?
How cool is this?
It's amazing. I don't know how you did it.
Look at that pencil over there in the corner.
Holy mackerel.
I know you're going to miss me, so I got a life-size cutout of myself.
Only you would think that. Nice suit, by the way.
Look at that sign.
That's a beauty. Not so fast, my friends.
How about the TV?
Beautiful.
85 inches, and on a bright sunny day, no glare.
I can't wait to see my guys win in that big TV. Thank you, all my fans. I'm really touched. I'm going to miss sharing Saturdays with you. That bulldog haunts me.
How cute was that? Right? Isn't he adorable?
Who doesn't love Lee Corso?
Yeah.
And here's what's really interesting, right? So football is tribal, right? So you love your team. But what united college football fans was their love of Lee Corso. And that was something we found by listening, right? Looking at the signals across the country, people were talking about the retirement of Lee Corso. And what's really interesting when you look at this is a piece of content, but the idea was built from a community insight. Then the actual activation, the actual setup of all the Samsung products were crowdsourced. The community got to participate in figuring out what the ultimate viewing experience would look like. And then it went all the way through to retail so they could actually buy it as well. And I think what is really exciting is you have incredibly passionate fans talking about it, getting excited about it. I think it was overwhelmingly positive sentiment, incredible share of voice, incredible purchase. And importantly, it went from the most passionate, fervent football fans into mainstream coverage. So a really incredible example.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Obviously we've got we're in the finals right now, right? Or we're in the playoffs of college football. So really important moment. But if you think about this year, this is a really important moment in sports, specifically in North America. We've got the Milan Cortina Olympics that are happening in a couple of weeks, obviously, in Italy. We also have the largest World Cup that's ever taking place here in North American soil. And if you think about the World Cup specifically, you kind of go through that customer life cycle. This is a melting pot of a country. Think about those micro moments. Think about those signals that we're getting from those fans leading into the World Cup. So really, really important. Joy, what do you notice? What changes do you notice when brands start to actually understand behavior rather than just the media placements surrounding sports or fandom?
Look, I think it allows them to break through. One of the things we talk about a lot when we talk about creative and our approach to creative is build ideas for the jungle and not the zoo, right? So the zoo is required on paid. It's required on I have a piece of content, I have an ad, and I want to put it someplace, and I pay. The jungle, it has a life of its own. It grows. People become part of it. So we want to be able to spark a story. We want a reaction, right? We don't just want reach, we want a reaction, and then we want it to spread. And I think you see brand impact, you see more passionate fans, and I think you see equity that increases year on year.
What made you most proud of that work that you guys did alongside Samsung in this case?
I mean,
both of you really would love to hear.
For me, look, I love to show that an idea born of earn, briefed for earn, built for earn can take you all the way through to purchase, right? Because that's been the enduring question, and I think this just proves it. And again, and I love the way it honored an icon in the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, we've been so focused for, I would say, the past 2 years on the kind of products we bring to market, right? We bring really good products. We bring innovative, strong products to the market. But this is the first time, or at least in a while, that we switched the script and we kept our consumers first from a perspective of the passion point versus the product and what that's solving for them versus the passion that they have and what they're using it from a viewing experience perspective. So for me, it was about how do we bring that to life, and like Joy said, with an icon like Lee Corso, honoring that moment for an icon, that was really exciting.
And the thing about it is a huge moment in sports, and the thing about sports are they're so important. There's a sort of sportstainment, right? There's multiple avenues to the conversation around sports, but breaking through is hard, and you need to be able to not just a lot of what we build plans for is not just how do you reach communities, but how do you activate them? Because if you're not activating them, you're not doing the right things for them.
And if you think about the insights needed to activate those communities, we'd love to ask you, Joy, we'll start with you. How does human expertise and some of the listening tools available allow you to get to that community truth?
So, and again, I'm sure everybody here has a lot of listening tools. I think and AI, I think I have to say that like
I don't think
every
we've
third word
said
here.
it.
But that allows us to see signals in the noise, right? To see the patterns, to understand the rising and waning conversations, to understand where conversations are happening, who is driving those conversations, the potential role of a brand and the potential impact there. What the human intelligence allows us to do is interpret those signals, is understand creative context, to apply them. And what we often do is we marry a lot of modeling and a lot of tools with a team we call the cultural insiders, who are very deep in the community. So whether it's, to Suk's point, gamers or beauty enthusiasts or football enthusiasts, people who really understand the behaviors and the rituals, because I think the last thing you want to do is see an opportunity but just make a faux pas as far as how you enter that community.
Yeah. So anything to add to that?
I think that's great.
Question for you. This all sounds great, and the example is amazing, but I would love to know, when do you know, what are the signals that you look for, Suk, that tell you earned that place in the community? You're getting the right reaction from that community.
Yeah, I think a big part of that is the community itself responding, right? We can say a lot of things online, but in the Lee Corso, for example, the moment Joy was talking about, is the community was participating. They were telling us what they wanted, and even when this was put out, they were able to get what they wanted from a TV like Lee setup, the promotion that was also part of it. So the engagement from the fans and from the community is really critical, and not just in terms of the likes that we get, but also the conversation that they're having online about our brand, about our products, is really important. I would say from a gaming perspective, what we've seen is once we engage in some of those communities, celebrate those communities, there's also a lot of content that our consumers are creating as part of these communities and bringing us in without us really actively approaching. So to me, that is a really big signal to say we're succeeding there.
We'll even see it in the content that they create as interesting. Joy, anything to add to that?
Look, I think Suk's got it right. Again, what we often say is reach without reaction isn't reach at all. If people aren't responding, if they aren't taking your message and carrying it forward, you probably haven't reached them, or you haven't reached them with any way that's going to really make an impact for you. So I think, are they spreading your message?
One thing I wanted to ask you guys about was around niche communities and how niche communities can expand into greater fandom or scale mainstream. I don't know if there are any Brits here, but was anybody following the World Darts Championship in London past 2 weeks? Anybody? You? I see a nod. Okay, not a great example apparently, but this is the World Darts Championship in London. I would go on YouTube or wherever to check it out. The walkouts that these professional darts players do has gone at least viral for me, where you have these grown men that are coming out to Sia, Bulletproof, and an entire crowd. I'm talking about like 20,000 people at a place called the Ali Pali, all singing Bulletproof together. And it's just amazing, because you think of darts, but it's become something bigger, and their media rights have increased over time, and that fandom has grown. You've seen it in your own rights. Would love to hear from your perspective, how do you bring these sub-communities from sort of niche to mainstream? What have you noticed? How can brands help support in that?
That'll be me? Okay. Look, one, I think you have to decide what level you need, right? Because some niche communities, you just can go all in on those niche communities and make an impact for your brand or your business. But it all goes back to those same fundamentals, which is start, understand the passions, feed them and fuel them. Another college football thing we do is for Pop-Tarts. We do the Pop-Tarts Bowl. It's 3 years running now. And that started with just honoring the rituals of college football, and then making it incredibly brand relevant, and then making it incredibly participatory. And then it turned into a crazy, like the amount of memes on that, insane. And it's grown year on year. So started very much as a community first, earned at the core idea, and now it's an earned at the core idea amplified by 360 paid. So it's gone from but a very authentic to the community idea that added something to the experience of the bowl game.
Yeah. So this approach is obviously very different than, say, a traditional sponsorship. But so I imagine you've done sponsorships or integrated approaches like this. How can this potentially outperform traditional sponsorships from your experience?
Yeah, and traditional sponsorships are great too, right? So we've done a number of sponsorship, whether it's right here with the Raiders at the Allegiant Stadium, whether it's SoFi Stadium, the Mets, and there's absolutely a place for it. And there are business objectives that those sponsorships help you meet. When you come to this side where we're talking about fandom, and it feels you can actually make it so targeted and focused, and in terms of, like I said, really engaging your consumers from a passion point. The next level down is also how you can take that, and I'm just speaking more from a brand perspective now, you can take those fandoms at a geographical level. So for us, especially as we talk about our home entertainment electronics, is how do you take that fandom and how do you take some of that and localize it? So when you have these local teams and you have local retailers, how do you start to personalize the experience that they have as part of that? So for me, yes, sponsorships are great at a broader level, the traditional sponsorship, but this helps you get to really focused, personalized in a way that those bigger sponsorships don't.
And you know, the one thing I love about working with Samsung is nothing is living in a silo. So another thing we did with Samsung was for March Madness. And one of the behaviors around March Madness, again, which we uncovered in listening, is that people really, and again, are there basketball fans out there?
More
Yeah.
than darts
more.
fans.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So one of the things that we learned is that people need multiple screens to be able to watch their multiple games. So we found this idea, we built this idea, and we called it the Buzzer Beater Bundle, and then made that an offer. So like how quickly we can go from an community-led earn first idea to a retail offer is pretty incredible. And I think that is a huge lesson from Samsung that I think needs to be applied across industry.
Yeah, and I love that. I think Joy brought a really important point. One of the things we love about working with them is the insights that they're able to bring, especially around some of these moments, like March Madness was one of them. Even within college football, right? We're talking about Super Bowl right now. And when we talk about some of the college football championships party or the Super Bowl party, some of the insights is that so much anxiety around hosting because of your TV setup. So how do you use some of that in terms of improving the scenario that people are looking to solve for?
I love that. It kind of goes to sort of the premises of this, which is like you could reach audiences, but what you're trying to do in reaching audiences is really just extract value from those audiences. Where this approach that you just mentioned, the 3Bs, something bundle,
The Buzzer Beater Bundle.
but it's earned value from customers, right? It's earned value from fandoms, which I think is really, really interesting.
And I think it's not at the expense of brand or the expense of retail, right? It's in service of the community and in service of commerce.
Yep. So if we look at all of this, it's not like you can measure it by impressions or the effectiveness in impressions. How should we look at success as it relates to executions, endeavors like this?
So we look at it through a couple of lenses. One is obviously just reach, and it's informed reach, right? Are you reaching the right people? Are they actually reading? Are they actually engaging with it? And then the other piece, again, is the reaction. We call that heat. Is it getting some heat? And so are you getting a meaningful response? Not just lukewarm, passive, it's a like, but I'm creating content with it, I'm saying something about it. And then is there cultural momentum? Do you have some longevity to that? So we look at it through that lens.
Amazing. Well, we only have a few minutes here, but being that we've been at CES for 48 hours, or some people the weekend, I would love to hear, 2026, looking forward. So what are you most excited by? It doesn't have to be fandom, but just what is really getting you excited right now?
Yeah, I'm really excited about some of the experience we're bringing to market. So whether it's sports, and I'll take sports for an example, what we're introducing is Vision AI, which really is how do our consumers want to have, what is the experiences they want to have when they're viewing on their television. So it could be, if we continue with the example of sports and fandom, you're watching a game and you hate the commentator's voice and you don't want to hear it, you can mute the commentator. you're at you're seeing a Coldplay concert, but you want to hear only the lead, Chris Martin's sound. You can only have him be loud, everything else mutes. You can mute the crowd, you can increase the crowd. So I'm really excited about personalized experiences that we're bringing to market for people to view content how they want to view it. So that's really exciting.
Interesting. What about you, Joy?
Well, I mean, there is a lot that I'm very excited about that can be applied to marketing and how we do work and how we're taking AI from an idea to really accelerate our work this year. But what I'm actually most excited about is the mirror in the Samsung space that it tells you what you need to do for your skin. It tells you your colors and the makeup you should wear and your skincare needs. I feel like it's going to make me look much better this year. So to be honest with you, it's the application of the technology on me as an individual that I'm most excited about.
It's not yet in market, but hopefully soon.
But you need to head over there and do that.
Well, this is great. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, panelists. Amazing insight. I think if we take anything from today, fandom isn't bought by brands; it's actually earned. You need to contribute your way to standing up that fandom and providing value to that fandom, and that's what gets you fandom in return. So thank you all for the time, and enjoy the rest of CES.
Thank you.